I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that say stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Bill, I'm in the mood for a change up. I leave the city and return with my change up. They got amnesia, don't remember how they played us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tira.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are back. This was the big BMF season finale, episode 8. I wish there were more episodes, but unfortunately there were only 8 this season. But I mean, wow, what a finale. So we are so excited to get into it. If you guys hang tight, we'll be right back in just a few moments. Everyone, we are back. Like I said, we are talking BMF. This was the big season finale for the first season. And first of all, if you haven't watched any of our our interviews that we've done with the cast, we had Miles Bullock, we had Lil Zane, we got to talk to Randy Huggins, who is the writer for the show and the showrunner. And then also we spoke with McCole White, who plays Lucille. And they all gave us a ton of insight onto how the show came about, how everything pulled together, just a ton of information and background knowledge. And I enjoyed every single one of those interviews that we did. So make sure you guys go and check those out.
Can I say this? I was like, I love talking to every single one of them, but I was like, McCole Brianna White, her energy was so like zen and positive and everything. She made me want to sage the house, burn some incense, roll out the yoga mat, and woosah and namaste.
Yeah.
We were all uplifted after that interview.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed all of the interviews we did. So please, you guys, if you haven't watched, you are missing out. Go and watch. And even Randy gave us a ton of background on some of the people that he originally had cast, and it was a shock. Some of those were shockers. I was like, okay, that's some good background, insight that you ain't gonna get nowhere else but the spot. Okay.
And he was so high-spirited, but an all-around great guy. I mean, I really loved the interview.
I enjoyed
Miles and Zane brought good energy too. Everybody.
Yes, they did. Every single interview we had was amazing.
Yep. Go check those out.
I can imagine what a good time they have on set, all the good energy, all those good spirits. So you can see it comes out in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so this week we have King of Detroit.
Well.
Wow. I mean, this was a really, really good finale. I was shocked by a lot of the stuff that happened. And it takes a lot to shock us, I think, because a lot of the times we can kind of predict things. Some of this stuff, I don't think we could have called it.
I know I got my my wish. Lamar is he's done with. I'm glad we can breathe a little bit. We can enjoy the show without thinking that, Lamar's going to do something super, super crazy, although he will be missed. Let me say this,
yes.
Excellent actor.
Eric Kofi Abreva.
Yes.
Round of applause. Yeah, you will definitely be missed. So don't get it wrong. I'm only speaking on the show's behalf in terms of not missing him. But no, in reality, we're going to miss him. I know I will.
Oh, he did his thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because at the beginning of the episode, Kato and BMFSTARZ had it where they had baited him perfectly, and BMFSTARZ was just about to go after Lamar when he gets pulled over and arrested, and I'm just like, oh man, they were so close. And then it turns out everybody's getting snatched up. I mean, Terry got snatched up, Meech got snatched up, and I'm like, whoa, I knew that Bryant had a little bit of a vendetta, but he was not playing with them.
Yeah, we got to put him on the hands list this week. He was tripping.
Yeah,
Well,
he did
I mean,
the way they
well-
would embarrass them too.
Well,
Yes.
he was doing his job, but you know, the whole point is, how can you be that dirty and do your job at the same time? Because my thought was, okay, so you snatch them all up, and all fingers can point directly to you, Detective Bryant, because you've been taking their money. You know, you've been doing all sorts of things for them. So it was a little interesting to see he, you know, being the front runner of all that. But hey, turns out.
Yeah, I was happy to see how they celebrated at the end, and they basically beat the system. I was like, at least on camera, I see them beating the system, because I'm still kind of triggered over that Rittenhouse verdict. So I was happy to see
That's
how that played out.
You know, that's another show, but
I know it is.
Yeah,
I know it is. That's why I'm happy for this entertainment.
No, I'm saying we can make something out of that, because you know it is what it is. But as you said, I was glad to see them all walk. And I love the look that BMFSTARZ and Lil Meech gave to Detective Bryant. You know, that look said something. I mean, it was like, don't think we're through with you.
Yep.
You know, that's
They're not playing.
They're not playing.
Got the message too.
Yeah, I think he did too. Because you know, he blinked when BMFSTARZ stepped on him and gave him that look. Kind of blinked like, oh, I'm in this. You know what now?
But that didn't stop him from approaching BMFSTARZ later. So
Right. And so that whole situation, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead by saying this, but you know, we all know what happened. We've seen the show. So BMFSTARZ, I mean, after all that stuff goes down, he gets pulled in again. And so BMFSTARZ really proved that he was a loyal soldier to Meech by doing what he did to, you know, take out Lamar and take out Kato. And we seen how bad that hurt him. I mean, and so he really had done like a grand gesture to prove his loyalty to Meech. But then we get this Bryant situation. And he's like, well, we found your gun in the car and it's tied to these bodies, you know, so I can get you, I can arrest you on these charges, or I can make it go away if you give up Meech. And so that's a tough spot to be in, where you could be facing a murder charge, or, you know, just provide a little information against somebody that you are truly loyal to, that you consider a real friend.
If he killed a woman he loves, he ain't gonna snitch on him. That's
what I'm saying. And so, but I'm like, you never know when some people are in a tight spot, what they'll do.
Well, first thing I would do,
though, took it upon himself to kill J-Mo. Like,
yeah, that was his big fall. And the first thing I would do if I were BMFSTARZ is I'd go back and have a good long talk with Lil Meech and say, okay, this is the situation I'm in. Let's try to get up enough on this Detective Bryant, so you know we can play a little chess with him, because you know he's in a tight spot, and I know he's a soldier. He's not going to give up BMF. So, but what he could do is say, look, let's work to get this fool out of here, because it looks like Detective Bryant's days are numbered.
I'm glad you said that, because I could definitely see him and Meech kind of constructing some kind of plan to get Bryant out of there. And so, you know, Lamar's character was kind of the one this season that we loved to hate. And so I feel like next season, and this is an early prediction I'm gonna throw out there, but I think Bryant is gonna be our new villain, the next person that we hate, you know, on the show.
And then we got to worry about Big L, because I remember you were saying last week, Tia, that she looked so sweet and polished and stuff, but she showed us she got another side.
Oh yeah.
And with T, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but with T making a decision that he did, she don't want to deal with Meech for real. Right. That's gonna be a whole problem next season.
Yes.
Yeah, but part of that was BMFSTARZ's fault, because if you go back a couple of episodes, he was having this love affair with that gun when he really should have got rid of that gun. That's the evidence that's going to be used against him. And so part of that is on him.
It is on him.
A little connection to this weapon that he's used in these murders. So
Da Vinci, I'm talking about his real name. Terry asked him if, you know, he was like, I know that ain't the same gun. And he was like, no, yeah, I got rid of the gun. But he lied.
Right. So that's the other part, like BMFSTARZ, and I'm glad that he confessed to Meech this episode, because Meech already knew. And so it was a test. And so now he's kind of shown his loyalty, in some regards, but it also kind of still looks a little sketchy that I had to confront you about the matter, that you didn't bring it to me so we could work it out. And so I wonder if there's even still a little bit of, you know, like, yeah, you told me the truth eventually about Kato and working with Lamar, but I had to bring it to you. You didn't come forth with the information off the jump, which might test their friendship, I'm wondering.
Well, I think we talked about it a couple of episodes ago, what BMF should have done. I think he should have brought it up to Lil Meech a long time ago and said, okay, this is what the situation is. Let's play it out, see how it ends. But I think he should have given that up at an earlier time, although he did right, because I guess he read something in BMF and Meech's eyes. You know,
it's his conscience, his own conscience, because this is his boy. This was his boy from day one. So I think when he said all that, and he talked about loyalty and all that, his conscience was like, okay, man, I gotta come clean.
Yep.
It did hit at his conscience. And I'm glad he did, because when he asked him, he said, well, what would you have done had I not come clean? And Meech looked at him. So he would have been gone too.
That's a rhetorical question. I think because he knew quite well what would have happened had he not come clean. You know, but I did love the way Meech orchestrated that whole thing, even with Kato, the questions he asked, and getting that information about Kato's dad, and then going back to kind of confirm that information with Boom. And the way he did that, I was like, okay, yeah.
I knew he was playing chess. When he took her and he was talking to her and stuff, and I was like, he's so smooth.
Yeah,
he's so smooth, I said, because he just looked like they just kicking it. And he getting all the intel that he needs.
Well, it's Billy D looking self.
So DC Young Fly made that cameo, and it was perfect casting again, because he can always bring, like, he's supposed to be in a serious role, but the fact that he's bringing the comedy to it as well, like, that cracked me up. So I loved him in that position, and I hope we see a little bit more of him in season 2 as well.
I hope.
Yeah, that whole plan that Meech kind of has to spread into other territories, I mean, it's very smart given the heat that they have in their own area. And so if he can just be kind of in the background, distribute the product as necessary and get it off his hands without actually having to be in the streets, I think that kind of removes him from, you know, the laser vision that's on him right now with that captain, because she was definitely putting the heat on Meech when he was pulled in for questioning, talking about going after Nicole and bringing his mom into it too. And I'm like, that's nothing to play with. You know, that's a serious threat coming from a police captain. And so I think he took that to heart and was like, look, we gotta remove ourselves from, you know, the public as much as possible and kind of play it in the background. So I think the King of Detroit situation this is just the beginning, as we know from the true story.
Well, let's bring up Brother Charles.
Charles been getting a lot of heat on social media too. I just got to say that y'all giving it to him on social media, and I'm like, he's doing a lot, but he has his family's best interests at heart, though.
Well, he does. It's just that he's got to control that temper. It's like, you know, first he showed love to the attorney, and then he takes it back when he realizes that he can't get the money as soon as he thought he might, you know, and he walks out and all in disgust. But I did like his plan. I like the way he approached it. I like the plan he drew up, because if you know anything about the real life story, it does turn out that way. But I like how he drew it up, and I think it's going to settle him some, and he can get into loving Terry and, you know, doing really what he wants to do with his family. So it looks like
a legit business. Yeah, a legit business. He was trying to give him an exit plan.
Right, and it looks like a good thing, a good win.
Right. I think it's a smart idea, and I think that it really touched Terry, because it's talking about legacy. And you know, Terry is he's trying to be family oriented. He's kind of torn between the two worlds, but you know, hearing that you can pass on a legitimate business to your child, I think that really appealed to him, because and especially like even throughout this episode all the way down to the end, like I think his parents have really like been getting through to him And I think that he's reasonable in thinking like taking into consideration the risk versus reward. Because it's like, yeah, this is great. We get all of this money. We can live this like flashy lifestyle.
But it's dangerous.
And that's the thing. He was like, I don't want to live this day. I don't want to be looking over my back. I don't want to have to be worrying about getting shot at all the time. And so I think that he's reasonable in thinking like, this can't last forever. It's only so, you got to get it while the getting is good. And when it's not good no more, what you going to do? And so he's realistic in understanding that it's only so far it can go before you end up dead or in jail. And I think that he's smart to, get enough to sustain yourself and then want to get out and try to legitimize. But of course, Meech wasn't feeling that. He was like, what you mean? We just got everything we wanted. Like, we about to really be on and you want to walk away now? He was.
Yes, because of the two, Terry is the one that always had the conscience though.
Right.
Yes.
And the common sense enough to know when to stop, when to start, when to stop. But that was the first time I think I really saw fear in Meech, because it's one thing, when you have your brother like that close by your side and you're doing something together, that builds strength. And then to have, T come up and just talk some common sense and say, hey, I'm out. That I think that scene showed some fear that I hadn't seen in any of the episodes from Meech. Now the bigger question is, can he just walk out with that new connect? I mean, it ain't easy to just.
I mean, he did say it's not my problem. I guess after they get this whole this delivery distributed and give her money on this deal, I mean, they could just call it even, but I doubt that Big L would allow him to just walk away.
Right. And remember what she said too. She said, I see some much bigger things coming.
Yes.
So I think that I see a little attraction to T with Big L. I don't know how much it is, but I see a little bit of it. And I see that she has, she's rested in believing that he can do what he said he can do. And he said he could take it farther. So it'll be interesting in season 2 to see how she deals with his exit plan or his.
But he did kind of plant the seed. He was like, and Meech kind of brought it up too. Every dollar that was in that bag, Meech touched it too. He contributed to that. Mm-hmm. And so I think she understands, like, it's not like they're a package deal. Even though Terry is who she's dealing with directly, they really are a package deal. And so if for some reason Terry wanted to walk away, we already know she don't want to be bothered with Meech, because like his personality and hers just don't clash. And
he's too flashy for her.
Yeah,
he's too flashy for her. Whereas Terry can be understated, because you see Terry at school, at high school and stuff, blending in with the kids and stuff. Like, he's still a kid, and he appreciated the art when he met her at the art gallery last week and stuff. Meech is too flashy for her.
And not just that, he's too T is more humble. So, for instance, walking into the warehouse, he didn't bother to touch anything. He gave respect to the fact that he's at this place. I'm not going to touch all this stuff. Meech comes in, he's tossing $200,000 worth of merch up in the air like it's nothing, and so flashy and just too full of himself. And she just doesn't like that. She didn't like that at all from it. So
you had something to add too, LaWanda, I think.
Oh, it was on the same vein, the discretion and decorum. Those are the words that keep coming up that Meech is lacking, such as, if you're gonna be able to blend in her world, which is basically, I can be this supplier in plain sight, you have to understand where you are at all times and where you're presenting and not draw attention to yourself. And Meech doesn't seem to get that part of it.
I mean, the big giant BMF chains. And then even a couple of times, I think a lot of people called him out on his cockiness, or, just being so full of himself, as you said.
Yeah, because it's one thing that having that kind of money and being able to buy what you want is going to draw attention to you, because you're living in a depressed area where nobody else has those kind of resources. So that's one thing that makes you a target and everybody's looking at you. But when you're that additionally flashy and almost like you're thumbing your nose at law enforcement and everybody else who's trying to take you down, it makes them a little bit more eager to come after you. Because I think what we get from all of these shows, particularly BMF, is people are willing to play ball with you, but you can't draw attention to anybody in the game. They'll play ball. You can pay the cops to look the other way, but you got to keep it under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it cute. Keep it cute. And he does too much.
Yeah.
But hey, Meech is Meech. So
I mean, he is. And I think we kind of heard him reflecting on that as older Meech was in the prison at the end of the episode. He talked about, you know, ignoring everything that told him otherwise. You know, he seen that Terry wanted it out. He ignored it. Terry told him physically, like, I want out. He still ignored it. And so I think that it's just that determination and that drive to win that he had blinders on. Like, he literally was not trying to hear it. There's nothing nobody could tell him about not being king of Detroit and eventually king of, you know, many other kind of areas as he spread his organization out. And so he just had that like laser focused vision on, I'm gonna get what I want.
But it's also interesting that he doesn't see the fact that he has, as far as a business acumen, he has it. I mean, you know, he sees where he wants to go with this drug business, but he really couldn't see, hey, taking that situation with T and his dad and turning that into a global type of industry, because I think he has the acumen to do so. It's just that it's something about that drug game that he likes so much, outside of the fact that it's just money making. It's just something about that really has his, you know, his soul.
What? I think because he said they're good at it, right? And he keeps getting all of this. Yeah, but I think in the moment it's because he's good at that. He's getting all this flack from his parents, making him feel like, you know, he's the I don't know, the stepchild or whatever, but this is something he's good at and it makes him feel good. I think that feeds his ego. And I think that's probably why it's harder for him to step away and see him doing something else when this is working for me. This is something I'm successful at. Yeah.
And then the other part of that, he didn't necessarily say no to the car service. He was trying to turn it into roll it into his drug business. He was like, look, I mean, we just got the little stash spots put into the cars. We can do that on all the cars. I'm like, okay, he's trying to really, you know, tie in the legitimate and the drug world.
And Terry didn't want that.
It should be separate. But Terry, I think he realizes that at this point, he has more to lose, especially after LaWanda really following through on what she said and moving to Pennsylvania, because I think that that's really what sealed the deal for Terry. Like, you gonna up and take my son and move away? And,
right.
And all of this was brought on by my lifestyle and the choices that I've made. And so that, I think, hit home for him. He was like, no, I can't do this. Because look at what it's costing him.
And I like Charles stepping up and saying, you know, when he grabbed LaWanda, trying to, you know, talk some sense into her. And, you know, Daddy Charles got up, got between them and said, hey, what you doing? What you doing?
And let her go.
Yeah, no hostage.
Yeah, so that, you know.
And Mama stepped up too, because she was like, listen, it's all gonna work out. You know, if we do this business and everything and stuff, she'll come around to help him see the bigger picture.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, I really do appreciate the fact that the parents were there to kind of guide Terry in that moment, because he seemed like he was about to fly off the hinges for a second. And Mom even checked, you know, Meech at the end too. And she was like, you know, I don't know who you are anymore. But, you know, I think she heard a tidbit of that conversation about what happened with BMFSTARZ and them. And she's like, you know, I noticed that we don't have security outside the house anymore. So I know you done something, you know, terrible at this point. And so it's like, I don't know how it feels to be a mother and look at your child and realize like they aren't who you raised them to be anymore. Wow. And I know that has to be tough. That has to be very tough to finally let that sink, because she kind of had been in denial early this season, and she tried to fight for him and she tried to sway people's opinion about Meech. But by now, at this episode, it is what it is, and she has come to terms with the fact that he is not the child that she raised him to be.
Yeah, because once they're out the womb, they're their own people, right?
Yes.
They make their
Yes.
own decisions, and it's not really her fault. It's not any of their fault. He's making choices.
He sure is making choices.
Yeah, they go through cycles, and sometimes one of those or two of those cycles, you look at the child and say, this is not the child I raised, you know, but hopefully they come around full circle and become the child that you expected them to become. But you know, you can have a lot of doubts raising a child from birth to 21. You don't know what's happening at certain points, you know, and no matter what you put in them, you know, like you say, they their own person.
Mm-hmm.
But you just hope that, you know, like in the scriptures talk about when you train a child that they never steer away from it, that it's always there. So I think she's still hoping that regardless of who he's become now, what he's done at the root, that he will still remember what she's instilled in him.
Right. Exactly.
That's true. But I think that's part of the narrative of the show, is being reflective.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to think about that, to look and see all the unintended consequences of his actions and where it led him. And so I think that's true. I think for some kids, they get it later. They have to go through those.
Yeah, because they are kids. You said that several times, the one that, you know, like he's like 17, 18 in here, and T is like 16. So he may think he has it all figured out now, but many mistakes later, he's gonna realize he did not have it all figured out.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny too. I mean, when we talked about people complaining about Charles, how he kind of staked claim on the money first, and he was like, he was like, I deserve this money after what these boys done put us through. And Lucille was like, no, this is
still his money.
That's wild.
So I was like, okay, I know people gonna have something to say about that.
Oh my goodness, I sent you guys some tweets. I mean, somebody was like, you know, he didn't even want him to be in the game, and now he gets some money. His broke ass is trying to take them. I was like, oh no, they're letting Charles have it on social media. And I was like, wow, look, poor Charles.
Charles wanted that legit money, okay?
He wanted legit money, right?
And he's got it now, or at least he thinks he has it. But you know, I had to give it to him. That was a funny part for me. You know, it was just funny how he quickly claimed that money. I mean, you know, he didn't take any time to think about that being his son's money. You know, he just claimed it.
That cracked me up. And then outside of the moment with DC Young Fly and his comedy, I also kind of cracked up a little bit with
Donnell
Rawlins playing Alvin. And I was like, this freaky mortician is out here molesting dead bodies. And
I was like, okay, so he crazy than Lamar. Yeah. Lamar looks sane in that scene. I was like,
really?
And you know, I appreciated his comedy at first, because he was kind of like, Lamar's like, you ain't got no pain medication. And he's like, you see what's around here? These people don't need pain medication.
Show of hands. Who needs pain medicine in here?
That was funny. But then I was like, hold up, he's out here actually, you know, doing terrible things to dead bodies. I was like, I don't know about Alvin now.
Hey, look, it makes you wonder what goes on in those morgues.
It's not a good sign when Lamar calls you sick.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I said he made Lamar look like the same one.
Yeah.
I guess Lamar knew exactly who to go to.
Yeah. So that was just I like the humor that was injected. You know, Randy told us we was gonna laugh at this episode.
Yeah.
He also told us that we would love the music. We got to hear, you know, some of the Detroit music, and that's native to Detroit. But then just speaking on the music, I also loved the closing music that they had at the end of the episode, because it was like a mashup of all the lines that, you know, the some of the lines that were said throughout the season, and they just kind of like played that over a beat, and I was like, that was actually really hot. And I think that was a great way to go out, because you kind of could hear the transition from how the season started to where they ended. And so I was like, that was a nice touch on top of a really great season finale.
I tell you, BMF did not come to play this season. They did not come to play. It's been a really great season.
Yes.
And if they pick up on 2 and it gets as hot as number 1.
Well, Randy told us it would. He said that season 2 is going to be better than this season. So I look forward to that.
Yeah.
in a lot of our conversations with them, they talked about how it's a story about a family and the struggle that they're going through. And I think it was real evident in this episode too, that's what it is, because then you see the brothers having this conflict where they've always been like this, right? We've seen them fighting and having scuffles before, but this seems like a big thing that's going to tear them apart. So I think that's going to be interesting for season 2 to see what brings them back together, whether or not it's voluntary or whether or not Terry is forced to just because of this deal he's in with Big
That's
L.
what I'm thinking. I'm thinking because of the connect, I think he's going to have to.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to predictions for next season. Because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, even if Terry wanted to walk out, he probably can't. But then also you have Meech here. So he's dealing with this Lopez situation because they still are, looking for Lopez's murder and they know it was somebody associated with Meech. Then you have the issue with BMFSTARZ and, his, ultimatum that he's been given by Bryant. And then you have the Big L situation with the plug. Like he just went to not Boone. Is it Boone? The other guy, the other major drug dealer. And so he's talking to him and saying, like, I'm not trying to step on your toes when I came in your neighborhood. I'm trying to give you more customers. I'm trying to give you more product. And so basically he's kind of like made this alliance and he's saying like, okay, if you want more, I got it for you. And I can give you a better price and purer product. And so he's kind of like extended himself in that situation. So if he can't back up that with the product from Big L, then he has another big issue there. And so it's like all of these issues that surrounding BIGMEECH and this in his organization that he's now thinking, I have my brother to back me up, but even that just fell through. So really he's in a world alone. He's put all the corner boys and under the people under him that he had working, he's kind of giving them free reign to run their own organizations. And so it's like, well, dang, I don't even got my crew no more, really. I mean, he does, but not in the sense where they're working directly for him. They have the reign to do it as they please with the product. And so I'm just like, wow, he has a lot going on. And it's a lot to be in, considering he's 18, 19 years old. Like it blows my mind that they're so young with these huge problems.
Mm-hmm. Didn't Boone, as he was standing up, didn't he say to Meech, stay out my light or life or something? So that to me,
that is Lane.
Lane, yeah. So to me, it seems like for season 2, that's going to be a conflict for Meech because Meech doesn't listen to anything. So I think he's going to still try to move in that on his territory at some way or another. So that might pick up with some, some rather harsh events in season 2. So I look forward to that.
Well, I think with LaWanda being gone, the kid, that's going to free Terry up because his wife is Lala, and you saw how Terry and Lala were looking at each other, too. So I think there's going to be some synergy there next season with Terry and Lala's character.
That's a good point. I really hope that going forward, I'm thinking about BMFSTARZ, and I know that these are real life people. And so I try to keep that in mind because I think last episode I brought up about the possibility of Meech, giving up Lamar and Kato, and they could both get, go to jail together basically. And somebody in the comments is like, Meech ain't no snitch. And I'm like,
right, yeah.
Like I understand that, but there's also the fictional side of this show where creative liberties can be taken for the show, but I understand that snitching is major and you don't want to introduce that into anybody's storyline.
Well, first off, creative liberties has been taken because the real guy that plays Lamar is still alive. The real Kato is still alive. I watched the interview. I mean, it wasn't that recent. I guess it was for a year or two ago, whatever. She is too. So there were creative liberties taken with this script.
Right. And that's why I think you got to be mindful, but I think when it comes down to snitching, that's like a title that nobody wants to wear in real life or fiction. So that's why I was thinking about BMFSTARZ, and if I don't think he's gonna rat. Like I don't
either. And he killed his girl and he loved her. They loved each other and he took her out.
Yeah.
Bros before hoes. And that what y'all said? He's not gonna snitch.
Yeah.
Which brings the question, can they give them Kato? I mean, they don't want her because she's dead. They're gonna want somebody to pay and go to jail. So the truth is not even gonna matter at this point.
Yeah, and then what happens when they realize that Lamar and Kato are dead too? That's gonna be more attention on their organization. Like the cops don't even know that yet. So it's like you got J-Mo, you got Detective Lopez, you got Lamar, you got Kato. It's all these bodies. And so it's like, yeah, the heat is on.
Which is why I say B. Mickey has to confront Meech and say, we got to do something about Detective Bryant, because you can't trust him. You know, you can give Detective Bryant, let's just say if Meech was a snitch, I mean, B. Mickey was a snitch, he could give Detective Bryant all he wants about Lil Meech, and Detective Bryant still may not do anything for B. Mickey. So, you know, you got to play that hand. You know, I think that's just another one that's got to go. It's got to bite.
They're not on good terms. Detective Bryant said, give your mother my condolences last week. So that already lets you know that he was coming for blood.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I also think about, you know, Lamar, now that he's gone, if Marquise Moore character, if he could come back in town now, I'm forgetting his name on the show.
Flamel.
Yes. I'm wondering if he could come back to town, and if, you know, maybe he could, because Meech posed that to him as, you know, an alliance, like, would you want to team up? And, you know, Meech had always been about that, making alliances. So I was thinking about that too, as a possibility for season 2.
With BMF, I wanted to ask y'all, did you think he did the right thing by killing Kato?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Meech kind of said something that stood out, and he was saying like she would have proved her disloyalty eventually. And I kind of think that's true. I do. I tend to believe that, because business and pleasure don't ever mix, and in the long run, it most of the time don't work out. And so if for some reason they had a falling out in their relationship, they would have still had to work together. And this just gonna be friction there. And I feel like Kato always wanted, they were in competition kind of. He wanted, you know, a bigger role in the organization, and so did she. And so in that regards, I feel like if she seen something that was self-serving to her, then she would go after it and find some way to betray him one way or another.
And he was between a rock and a hard place. I mean, he really had no choice. Even if he thought that she could be loyal, he was given the word to take her out.
But did he have to do it?
I think so.
That's the biggest thing for me, was did he have to do it? Because we've seen that before, and what that does to you mentally. So even if he does it, it's gonna come back around the fact that he had to do it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, the relationship between Meech and B. Mickey after, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like there'll be some resentment there a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
he's already,
you heard it at the table. He was like, F you. Like, you know.
Yeah.
He was drunk. Like, there's gonna be some residuals behind this.
And that brings back the question of B. Mickey helping out, you know, Detective Bryant. Is he angry enough to do that?
He's still a soldier, though. He's still a soldier. I think he's angry enough, but he's still a soldier. He's not gonna snitch on Meech.
Because it's really them against Detective Howard at this point. Because he's trying to clean house to get anybody who has any dirt on him to do something with them. So he has to understand that at the end of the day, it's in his best interest to work against Detective Howard. You can't work with him.
Oh, Brian.
Brian. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey,
to work with. I was thinking about it, like
all these dirty cops,
right? But I was thinking about it for next season, because we got rid of one of the biggest, you know, villains of the show in Lamar. But I was thinking they still have so much to work with, even with Lamar gone.
They do, because like I said, Big L showed that she can be tough too. And you know, when you have a woman queen pin, you know, we saw that in Raising Kanan. We saw that in, you know, in Rock. Like, we can be a beast. So I'm like, she may be something.
And the way she flexed on Meech and was like, get him up out of here. She pulled out her strap. Like she was ready to take him out herself.
Which is exactly why I don't think T is going to walk away because of that. I think because of Big L, I mean, she's a powerful woman to reckon with. And my prediction would be he takes that money, he gets his little car thing going, and
he's gonna still do his thing.
He's gonna do his thing.
Because I think so too. Because he's gonna want to protect his brother.
Exactly.
Boom to the tomb.
That's going to be an issue too, because if that's the family business and you have to involve the family business, that's going to be another.
Oh, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah,
it's going to be an issue.
Yeah,
family business about to be dirty.
Oh yeah, Charles is going to be pissed when he realizes that this ain't legit like you wanted it to be. So I see some family friction still for sure. I can definitely see Terry and Meech kind of reconciling, because like I said, they still brothers at the end of the day. And you know, Terry, I can't see him just leaving Meech out there to hang like that.
No,
so I definitely foresee him coming back.
I do too.
Yeah, and you know, B Mickey, I think he'll get over it, but he gonna ride. He's a ride or die. So shout out to the entire cast. Shout out to all the directors and the writers, everybody involved with the show. Wow, this was, I think, one of the best like series premieres that we've seen, because it drew everybody in like off the jump. And I think it was so anticipated because a lot of people know, you know, they've heard of BIGMEECH, they kind of know bits and pieces of the story, but this is really the origin story we got for the first season, because this is a lot of stuff that if you weren't in their family or if you're not from Detroit, you might not have ever known. So I appreciate that they brought this to us in this way from the jump. Like, we get the origin story. So now going forward, we understand all of the decisions that were made and why.
Right. And I definitely want to thank the cast that came on our show, you know, Miles Bullock, Lil Zane, Randy Huggins, the showrunner, Mikkel Brianna White, and then all of the cast that also promoted on social media, like Da Vinci, Miles Truitt, even Russell Hornsby, Charles, and stuff. So several cast members shouted us out. Miss Lucille, she reposted us several times. Really appreciative to her, and even the people that work behind the scenes, like folks at STARZ, you know, Ariana and Tasha and Brittany and everything. So thank you all. Yes, it's been a great season.
Yes, it's so appreciated. The love coming from this cast has been phenomenal. And then to those who are no longer going to be on the show, you know, Eric Kofi Afrifa, we talked about him get killed off. We loved his performance this season. Cash Doll, she mentioned that I think last episode was her last one. Yeah, and
he did a great job too.
Right, and the same for Miles Bullock, who plays Slick. He got killed.
Rest in peace, Slick.
J-Mo's character, I can't think of his real name right now, it's slipping my mind. But
Adriana Alexis that plays Kato.
Yes. To all of those guys, like, they really killed it. The young talent on this show bought the heat. They bought the A game. And I think that's a part of why everybody was also so excited about the show, because the talent and the acting was on point. So congratulations.
And congrats to Lil Meech for his debut acting in this show. He did a great job.
Yes.
I think it bodes well for their future careers and their next projects. I think we'll all be excited to see what's next for those that are not coming back. So
right. So congratulations again to everybody involved. Definitely looking forward to season 2. You know, Randy told us he has already written, I think, up to episode 4. So yeah, he is ready. He's on it. So you guys, if you think it's gonna take long, Randy told us it won't take too long for them to come back. So definitely looking forward to season 2. I hope that everybody has enjoyed this recap. I hope that if you've watched the interviews, that you have enjoyed those as well. And if you haven't, you go watch them tonight, like right after you finish this recap. Go watch our interviews with the cast of BMF, and then also tell your friends and family to go watch it too, because it's a ton of good little juicy details in there. So please make sure you do that. And
we give it to you like nobody else. So, you know, that's what you want to tell your friends and your family. You know, this isn't just a show that talks about that just recaps. We go deep. So let them know.
for sure. So also make sure you are subscribed to our channel, click the notification bell, and also make sure that you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. We're on all social platforms there. So give us a follow and keep up with us. We'll definitely be recapping season 2 because we hooked now. They done baited us and we hooked. So we'll be back for BMF season 2. And in the meantime, we're still recapping Insecure. And as you guys know, Power Book 2 comes back tonight. So we'll be doing that as well. Did you guys have any other closing remarks you wanted to add?
No, just sorry we didn't go live, y'all, but we have 2 other shows to recap today too. So
bit much.
Next time.
Right. I think we kind of had content overload this week. So I think we can make up for it in the fact that we got y'all so many good interviews. So
more to come.
Yeah, thank you all to the viewers. You guys have been so supportive. You have been constantly interacting in the comment section, and we love that. So thank you so much for your support, your kind words, everything that you've had to say in terms of how you feel about our program and how we do it. Trust it does not go unnoticed. We appreciate you. We see all your comments, and we love being able to bring you content that you enjoy. And of course, you're part of our family now, as what we call our group of supporters, the spotters. So you are officially a spotter if you are supporting this channel. And if you like to join us too, we oftentimes bring some of our spotters on to recap the shows with us. So make sure that if you wanted to join for some of our recaps, you can reach out to us in the comment section, and we'll try to let you know our availability for that.
And also, a few of you have commented on the music that I've chosen from our intro and our out. Particularly Rob, appreciate your comment. So I may just do a playlist for you guys, let you know where the music comes from, and so you can enjoy it as much as we do.
Yes. So I think we're going to call it a night, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and continue to follow us as we go on to recap other shows as well. But until next time, we'll call it a night. See you guys next time.
Night.
Bye.
See you too.